So I got another opinion piece coming out. I think based on the previous topic that I talked about with how we need a death tax, I think after thinking about how the economy works, I only have believed in this more. Like when I think about how wages work and assets work, it just becomes more and more apparent to me that you need some kind of hard, or at least somewhat hard reset in order to balance the playing field if you want to live in a more equitable society. I think if you are someone that already has a lot of money and a lot of assets, you can only consume so much. If you're making $1 million a year, if you make $1 billion a year, even if you try your hardest, you can probably only spend a handful of that percentage. And there's hundreds of millions that are still left over. And so what are you going to do with that money? You're obviously going to go put it into assets that grow. If you track the growth of assets, such as like stocks, 10%, 8 to 10% a year, or gold, which is also still a high percentage per year, or real estate, high percentage per year, compare that to inflation, which is only 3-4%. Like, it has become cheaper actually, for example, to buy a house if you were paid in gold, for example. Like, let's say instead of being paid in US dollars, every time you got paid, you immediately had that transferred into gold. Like, you're getting paid in value in gold. If that were the case, it would actually be easier to buy in today's quote-unquote gold wages than if you were to just use USD. And I think that speaks to like the apparent, the economy of growing value, because if you already have something that is of value and you're growing that over time, you are in a much better position to be able to consume more versus someone who doesn't have that. If you don't have assets, how do you gain income? You're trading your time and skills for money. But if you don't have enough of an income in order to even like stay in the consumption pile, that's what leads to this like infuriation and all this like terrible economy that people are talking about. It's because they don't have enough to even hit the consume pile, much less have the extra assets incoming in order to put it back into those asset piles. So if there's I think there might also, I heard this from the Steve Eisman's take on the lemonade stand, but he categorizes the economy into two economies. There's tech, and then there's other, like everything else basically. With tech, there is so much rampant growth that there's enough rungs on the ladder to be able to climb up into a position where you're able to sustain all your consumption and still have leftover things to put into assets. But if you're in more of I would say like tech, finance, anything that has high enough of an income for you to have excess. But if you have a occupation where you don't have that extra assets to be putting into static things like stocks, bonds, housing, or crypto, don't have those things that don't go back into the economy, then you're in a position to basically be screwed. So I was thinking like, how can you do this? So it's like you're basically in a society where you don't make money enough to sustain for just yourself through your lifetime. You make money exponentially. So the longer you're able to grow your money at 10% per year, the more and exponentially more and more wealth you'll be able to accumulate down the line. The problem is if you don't get that ramp up to begin with and you're living quote unquote paycheck to paycheck, you're not part of the ramp that's like growing up. You're part of the stagnation that's like staying completely level. And I think maybe that's just speaking to capitalism and how society works, where oh, either you have enough merit in a meritocracy to be awarded to be on that ramp and grow exponentially. Otherwise, you're stuck paycheck to paycheck, only hitting the consumption pile and unable to grow. So I'm thinking like, okay, that's great. For someone that's, maybe more cunning, better at swindling, a more go-getting grifter, they are rewarded because they are able to use their skills, assets, and resources, whatever that may be, privilege. Maybe they're just smart and able to game the system, or they contribute enough value, whatever it is, they're able to hit that. And then what they do is they have trust funds, basically, set up for their heirs, for their offspring, their kids, so that they can have a good life. Because that's the whole, I think, story that is sold. Like, you want to be able to provide for your family, have a good life. Nobody wants to hear, oh, someone dies, you have a death tax, and then not only do you lose a loved one, you lose 30% of their assets. But I think that's almost necessary in order to reset that huge amount of gains. Like, you should take the average gains that can be accumulated over a lifetime in order to have maybe cut half of it. So 27.5% of all your assets that get transferred to your heirs are taken, and they only get 72.5% of their assets. Is that really so crazy? If you already have built such a massive ramp towards exponential wealth, you are not enabling other people who aren't on that ramp to be able to grab those rungs and also climb onto the ladder. I feel like, as much as you can argue, oh, nature, nurture, genetics, my kids deserve it, it's not, I think it's not almost democratic to have that privilege be trickled down to younger generations. There has to be some amount of value that's added. The value that a kid, that as someone is able to provide, should be equitable, at least to their parents, who are able to maintain that ramp growth. If the heirs aren't able to maintain that, they shouldn't be allowed. That's just pure privilege. There's no merit to them holding it, besides, the parent setting up a system and lobbying and making it harder to get a tax on, inheritance or something. Okay, on an individual level, that makes sense because obviously they're doing what's right for the family. But I think democratically there should be some amount of taxation on that. And it's also easy for me to say because I'm already in a position of privilege. I work in tech. I have enough rungs on the ladder for me to be able to make enough to hit my consumption, but also have that extra to put into those other assets like real estate, stocks, bonds, crypto. I don't own any crypto, but theoretically, if I wanted to grow those assets on the ramp, that is what I'm doing. I'm able to invest my 401k. I have enough to continually build wealth over time, and then in about 30-ish something years, assuming my wage also grows, I'll have enough to just live off of my accumulated wealth and then just take off 4% every year to consume off that 4% of additional income that I gain as interest of my pre-existing assets. That's quote unquote the dream. But for those people that already have that, it's and they're able to surpass that even more, much more than 4%. So you have you're able to consume live off of the consumption cost of 0.01% of your wealth. There should be some amount of that that's cut and given back to society. It doesn't make sense to have people manage that wealth in the sense that they quote unquote oh, my kids have earned it. The funds, in my opinion, should be cut and divvied up so that the people that do are born of the future generations, they have more rungs to be able to grab onto. Because if your kid is exceptional student, okay, there's the current rungs, which are tech or finance. You need to excel at those and then get really lucky with financial aid at a good college or something, and then, oh, this person brings a lot of value, they can make a lot of money. But for other people that are just like aren't able to have that access of privilege. Like they aren't able to get onto the loans. So I feel like there needs to be some amount of taxation to balance that. It's a half-baked idea. I am in no position to offer opinions on this. I've taken Econ 101 and that's it. This is just my thoughts and opinions of the stuff I'm reading, and I would love to hear more about what other people think of this, so I can continue to learn and grow as a person. Thank you for listening.